accurate, Garth?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think it's very important that you realize that. And then, because one of the questions that was asked is, how do you know if schools have interest in you when they can't call you till September 1st? Well, that is definitely one way that there's some interest, or they like the way you played lacrosse. Would you say that's accurate?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've noticed that. And, obviously they're going to then start to evaluate you through your social media before they build a relationship with you when they try to contact you after the September 1st period. When we move on to some of these questions you know, are gender neutral, meaning they work for boys and girls, and some of them just work for boys and some just work for girls. So I'm going to try to read through them and evaluate it. Um, One of the questions I thought was interesting, and I'd love you to just bring this into the light, is do you rate the importance of an individual showcase differently than a team showcase? Like if they're playing with their club or high school team compared to if they're going to an event like Juniors Open, which is an individual showcase, even though they're playing on a team?
Both options are great. I think every coach is going to have a little bit of a different spin on what he or she does and what their program needs. The advantages of going to a team showcase is the players that you're playing with, and you have probably some more ingrained or deeper connections of who you're playing with and where they're going to be just because of the time that you've spent with them. An individual showcase like Juniors Open, so to speak, is also a great opportunity because one, you get to learn from different college coaches in the area. Um, and you're able to really take stock in what they're saying in the skills session and try to implement that into your game right away. And two, it gives you a chance to meet and play with different types of player from all across the country, and even in different places like Canada, which in a cool way is you get to learn and maybe add different things from people that you haven't played with, and get to open up that your mindset and skill set a little bit more. So I think there are advantages to both, but it's really when you're going out there, no matter what you're playing, it's you gotta believe in what your edge is and what your strength is, and you want to work to help position that at the highest light, whatever place that you end up going to.
Yeah, I think that's good. It's funny because um, you mentioned Canada, and obviously a lot of the Canadians start out playing box before they play field. And you've had an interesting experience because you're now playing box for the first time in your career, correct?
That's true. I've had 3 training camps so far.
Yeah, which obviously has opened your eyes to almost like a completely different sport, right?
Yeah, it's fun. Yes.
That's great. Box is great, and it's great. It's great development for the girls. Good question just came in, and I think this is really important. And everybody looks at this differently, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do coaches prefer communication through the IWLCA website, the lacrosse recruits, or through direct email?
So the IWLCA Sports Recruits website is a platform that is is available to coaches to look back and watch film or get a little bit more information gearing up for September 1. And um it's another way to just do a quick hit on, you're going out, you're watching camps, or you're at tournaments. Sometimes it's nice to get a little bit of a refresher of who you've seen earlier that day. Um, so that's definitely something that is used. And, email can be sent out from like a camps and clinic correspondence until September 1 of your junior year. So it kind of depends on the age of the person you're communicating with, and just where you are in your recruiting process as a university.
Yeah, it's interesting. Some coaches, Cook, have mentioned to me in the past, both on the boys and the girls side, that um, the IWLCA, the IMLCA website, because the player could see that you've viewed their video or opened their email or whatever that might be, sometimes you kind of like the direct email better so that you don't like give them false hope.
Yeah.
So that's what
Yeah.
I heard. What's your
It's
thoughts?
it's definitely it's a fine line. And it all depends. I think the great tool for the platform is it does give you a chance to rewatch film that's right up there. Um, but there's sometimes you could be clicking it like a couple times a day as you're going through recruiting, and like you might have 5 hits, but 5 hits on the profile doesn't necessarily mean like anything more than just looking at the profile. Sometimes it could, but there's a little bit of gray area um to that piece as well.
Yeah, and obviously everybody wants to be wanted. I mean, that's just life. That's human nature. So it's understandable that, it makes you feel good, but it's not the perfect science. The other thing that I don't know if everybody's aware of is a lot of the events, including this event that you're coming to, we use the event beacon option, which is, I think, a great platform. It's almost like they can watch the full game. So, like, if an assistant coach for a college goes and sees a prospective athlete and likes that young lady and tells the head coach can go back on Event Beacon because it's on this platform and watch the whole game that the assistant coach watched to see that same player. So that I think that's a positive.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely helps.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I mean, there's unfortunately there's no perfect science to it. How often do you think they should update film? As far as highlight films and stuff like that.
So it's always good to have recent highlight video. As far as like how many, I think it's a little personal, as far as what you want to showcase. But I think the big the big key is when you are doing highlight videos, it's making it succinct. It's a highlight, right? So it's like a one song that you can use to really showcase and your biggest strengths. I think anything more than like one song, it kind of is a little too long. And that might need to go into a different video later down the road. But I think keeping it fresh, showcasing your highlights, um, and that could even mean, if you're you you got the ball stripped from you and you're hustling back and showing your grit and you slowing the runner. Like there's different ways to kind of showcase different aspects of the game, and making sure it's a little bit more dynamic and it's not just dodging from the same spot, or if you're a defender, like clearing the ball constantly. Like we want to see um something that anyone would encourage you to do is to showcase different aspects of your game as you're going through that highlight video.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've obviously watched a ton of highlights with the obviously evaluating the young ladies for this event, and I saw one of a young lady, a goalie, and which I thought was really cool. And it was obviously taken by the parent, but it was every goal in this particular game that was scored or saved. So you saw the goals that were scored and the goals that was saved. So I thought that was cool because you got to
Yeah,
almost like watch the goalie play the whole game.
yeah,
You
that is
know,
great. Yeah,
I thought that was a good perspective because how you react to adversity. I've heard of many stories of coaches recruiting players because of the intangibles. One young lady, I remember her teammate got like jacked up, like, and she like chased the young lady down, and the coach loved this kid's tenacity because of the way she chased the girl down, and she talked about that. So there's so many different ways I think to impress And it's funny. The next question I think is perfect for you.
Yeah.
How do defenders stand out during the recruiting process and in showcases? What are coaches looking for in that?
That's I I think no matter what position you play, it's important to understand and know what your strength is as a lacrosse player, and that is absolutely something you want to showcase. So if you're a takeaway defender and you're locking your player down from different spots in the field, like show that. If you're really good at having an active stick, meaning checking, like show that. If you're off ball wise, you're more of the communicator, IQ, commander of the defense on the defensive end, like show how you have your sight lines and your communication and commanding and sending slides. Like find what you're really good at and definitely make that a strong piece of what you're trying to highlight, and also find the other glimmers that you do well, whether it's getting ground balls or chasing out shots. Like I know statistically it's a little bit more challenging on the defensive end, but there's so much brilliance that can come out of being um on on the defensive side of the ball. And it's, you know, they always talk about team play and um wanting to make the unit stronger. So just because you play on that defensive end, there's still many of opportunities to show why you are a great defender and why you deserve to be on the field.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm a big advocate of promoting the defenders and the what I call the in between the 30s midfielder, because when we started the Long Island Lacrosse Journal, in our stats we have caused turnovers and ground balls, and I beg schools to stat those because I've spoken to many coaches who have come to Long Island to recruit Long Island kids, and they use these our website and the rosters that have the stats on it. And when they go to a game and see that a young lady is killing it on ground balls or killing it on caused turnovers, it opens their eyes to check her out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's such a
The
big
gritty
part of
place.
it.
Yeah.
Aren't you looking for that when you're watching?
Generally speaking, any grit and any, hustle play is going to really sell yourself. And at the end of the day, that shows how much joy and how much love you have for the game. So wanting to showcase that is going to be contagious, and things that coaches do look out for.
And great answer. Let me ask you a question. How often should a player reach out to a school or coach that they're interested in? Obviously, they can't do it. Um, they can't. They could send it now as a 26 or 27, just asking really when your prospect day is. But once their September 1st has passed and they want to reach out to a school, how often do you think they should reach out? And I guess that question is more about like if they don't get a response right away, should they stop?
Yeah, that's a heavy question. It's a loaded one. September 1 is should be a very exciting time for everyone. It's also can be very stressful. But something that has been shared with me and something that I can pass along is like that's really the start of the recruiting process, not the beginning and the end all in one day. I know that going into that date, it's there's so many different emotions. And sometimes expectations are met with reality, and sometimes it's a little bit drawn out and things shake up a little bit longer than maybe what is anticipated. But when you can trust the process and stay the course, and again, um do be the best that you can be, at the end of the day everyone's going to find their own home and their own place to be. And it might happen soon and it might happen a little bit later. But the beauty about lacrosse is the summer tournaments, the camps leading into September 1 are great, and the growth that you can make from summer into fall tournaments in that same year is immenseful. So just because something doesn't happen right away, continue to put the work in and trust that when those fall tournaments come, you'll be able to hit the ground running. And when you stay patient, great things really can happen.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I can tell you stories that are just, I know happened. So just to give you an example of just this year with the 25 class, there was a young lady who did not get contacted by many schools on September 1st. And she killed it at President's Cup in, what is that, third week in November.
Yep.
And she got a ton of opportunity after that, and then committed to the national title Northwestern school. So, to me, at the end of the day, she didn't get the phone call September 1st.
I'm gonna show you a proven way to get a smaller.
Whoa, sorry.
What happened there? Got excited? What'd you have, like a ball game on? Did I lose you? Cookie, you there?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Thought I lost you. But anyway, that's just an example of something that happened, and it happened this year. So don't think, I think the best advice you just heard was it's the start. Okay. It's not the beginning and end. It's the start. So just realize that and stay the course, and don't stress it. I always tell people college is the best 4 years of your life. And then now with COVID, a lot of people, it's 5 and 6 years. I wish, to be honest with you, I had 5 or 6 years of college. I'm sure everybody that's on this webinar feels the same way, because it was the best for everybody. And we all went to different types of schools, but we all had great experiences. So realize that. I know in the beginning you might think it's this school, but it'll end up being that school. And I can guarantee you that school, if you do your due diligence, it'll be a great experience. One of the questions, a couple of questions are more operational questions. So I'm just going to address them right now, just to get them off the table. The one of the questions is, how does the Juniors Open differ from other showcases? All I could tell you is what we believe in and what our makeup is and how we think. And we make sure at our showcase that every kid plays team lacrosse. We've shrunk the roster size this year because we felt there were too many kids last year on a roster. We're going to max out at 20 or 21 kids per roster. That's with 2 goalies. So that way kids get more time on the field, and therefore they could show their ability. We think about that. Last year we had 23 to 25 kids. This year we're shrinking the rosters because we felt they didn't get enough time. Obviously plenty of kids got opportunity, but you do the data, it gives you better opportunity that way. We run the VIP experience because coaches have asked to get their hands on the kids as far as coaching them. Obviously, Cookie and the other coaches want to get to know the kids. They want to coach them. They want to see who takes to their coaching style. And also for the player then can evaluate who are they excited about, who's the person, man or woman, that they enjoyed playing for at the VIP experience. Now, obviously, you don't all have to do that. A lot of you are, okay? We do a Q&A. So the college coaches, a section of it, kids are asking questions. There's a kids part with the coaches, and then there's a parent part. I thought Ricky, who coaches over at Georgetown, did an amazing job last year with the parents. He did a great job answering all the parents' questions. And I thought it was great that the parents got to sit there and BS with, a high level coach. Ricky's coached, he coached you on the USA team, didn't he?
He did for 8 years, 2 World Cups.
Yeah, he's a great man.
Yeah, he's great.
And he's been around the game forever, and he did a great job. And I thought that was amazing. We have practice. So the coaches We hire the best high school / club coaches in the country. We have the Darien coach, the Northport coach. I mean, there isn't we have people from the NXT program, people from, it's unbelievable the amount. And this is part of what I love about it. I get to build relationships with the amazing men and women that are mentoring all these young ladies, and we're going to all work together. Another thing we do, which parents might not be aware of, is on the first night, we have all the high school coaches that are working the event and all the college coaches that are at the VIP staying in the same hotel. We do a social. That gives opportunity for our high school coaches that are there or club coaches to talk to the college coaches about the young ladies that are there from their programs, their high school or club programs, and say, hey, you should see Jane Smith. She'd be a great fit for your school. And it's a great opportunity then for those coaches to get the heads up on X amount of players to then go and watch the following 2 days. That we call it the college high school social. It's after we practice on Tuesday night. So that's another positive that I think kind of divides us up here. One of the other questions I want to just address, they were asking about when they'll get the list of college coaches. I can give you the college coaches that'll be at the VIP experience that have already, and I'll share that with everybody after the webinar. But here's something, guys, that I tell every single recruitable athlete, no matter who it is. Don't worry about who's going to be at the event. Figure out by talking to the person in your life. Okay, there's somebody in your life that you trust, that's we'll call it your lacrosse guidance teacher. Okay, and whoever that man or woman is, ask them what schools they believe you should be targeting. Now, this information should be broken down by obviously your ability of lacrosse, but your academics, how much money you're looking to spend, because, college is expensive, how far from home you want to go, okay, what you want to study. So all those questions that particular lacrosse guidance teacher needs to know, and then they can guide you and give you a list, and you should email all those schools. So if you want to be engineer, you're not going to email schools that don't have engineering. Now, you could change when you're in college, but you still want to make sure the school has a major you might be interested in. So these are important factors as you're preparing. So just to name right now, and Cookie is, the reason why we have all these great schools there, because she's got all these relationships. You got ASU, Cornell, Florida, Loyola, Notre Dame, Jacksonville, Rutgers, Penn State, USC, UNH, UPenn, Duke, USF, Clemson, Denver, Maryland, Navy, Elon, Delaware, Yale, Drexel, Georgetown, Stanford, Princeton, Ohio State, JMU, Richmond, Coastal Carolina, Mount St. Mary's, Stony Brook, UVA, Pitt, Boston College, UNC, Hopkins, and Towson University. So those are the schools that have already told us they'll be there. Okay. And I'm sure there's going to be many, many more leading up to it. But don't go by, because I'm going to tell you something. If 50 kids, if I'm the head coach or assistant coach at Campbell, and 50 kids email me, you damn well I'm going to be at that event knowing 50 kids are interested in my school. And especially when we're vetting the talent for them. Because let me tell you something, if you're on this webinar, you're a pretty damn good lacrosse player. Okay? There's a reason why you're invited. Okay? So that's an important, you should be very proud just to attend the event, let alone what's going to happen and all the things that are in your future. Okay? So those are important factors. Quick question for you. I don't know if you can answer this. This is more general. Is there a percentage of time that you spend on, like, this summer are you just on 26s? Or could you be still looking at 25s?
Every school is going to be a little different in their process. I would say that there will be schools and universities that are still going to go through this spring semester with 2025 spots open, go into the summer with spots open, and quite frankly, it could even be late summer, going into the fall. So I think it really does depend on the school and just where they are. And, like a new coach coming in, he or she may want to add a couple of different personnel to their incoming class for next year to get a couple people on their who they've recruited in that class. So there's a lot of different scenarios that can happen. The majority of the summer for most universities, I would say, at least at the Division I level, will be more towards the 2026s, but that's not to say that there won't be opportunities to watch 2025s.
Yeah, and things change. I mean, I've heard stories of boys and girls calling up the school that they committed to and saying, I've decided to go to a different school or not even play lacrosse in college. I've seen it happen many times. So that opens up a spot sometimes, right? It happens. So
Yes, absolutely.
realize that, stuff like that happens. This is a question for you, Cookie. Definitely this was written for Cookie Carr. What did you do to elevate your game to such a degree of greatness?
That is a great question. Sometimes it's hard to answer that because it's like I just, we all just love what we do and we want to play at the highest level, so we do whatever it takes. But I love sports in general. I played soccer, lacrosse, and basketball growing up. Being able to learn from different coaches and have different teammates who may have been like their number one sport may have been basketball and were far better than myself, but being able to learn and grow from them, that's something that I take a lot of pride in doing. So having the opportunities to play multiple sports at a high level helped. And just being a student of the game, I think there's even now, like Wink said, I have the absolute privilege to be able to put on a helmet and some box gear and play box lacrosse for the first time in my life. And I feel very much like a fish out of water, but being uncomfortable and learning a new discipline, and trying to do whatever I can to push the needle forward for women's lacrosse means a lot to me. And a lot to the sport. So I think, at the end of the day, when you have a goal and you have a purpose in mind, things start to add up when you put your heart and soul into it. Because you have that clarity and direction of where you want to be and you're willing to do what it takes to get there.
Yeah, it's good advice. A couple questions that are coming across the Q&A, which I'll answer real quick. The VIP experience is on day 1. So it's 8 to 12 on Tuesday morning. The question also, should athletes respond to IWSA views? I mean, you don't really respond to the views. It's just really kind of like a feel good. It's a feel good moment, right?
For the college coaches, if we like if we're going in and watching film, I don't know if there's a response needed,
Yeah, I mean, it's a compliment if someone watches your film. So at the end of the day, they're interested, they'll watch it. If someone said, "Hey, check out Cookie Carr's video," I mean, I send video to college coaches all the time. I mean, obviously, I have a good relationship with Cookie. I see a really good athlete. I'm like, check this girl out. She looks unbelievable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she might click on her video and watch it and like her or not like her, whatever. It's all part of the process. Is it a disadvantage, Cookie, if the child doesn't have social media?
No. I think that it might be seen as quite mature, not to have social media in the day of social media.
Refreshing, right?
Yeah, for sure. Everyone kind of beats to their own drum, and if you don't have social media, it shouldn't be seen as a disadvantage. I think, advantage of having social media is like if you're going out and training or whatever, you can put quick clips on for your Instagram or Twitter, so to speak, which can, catch people's eye, but that's not necessary. If you are in a club team, sometimes clubs require an IWLC profile just for the sake of help in the recruiting process. But as far as not having social media, that's not a bad thing.
No, I think it's refreshing. And if there's a young lady or young man that's 16 years old and doesn't have it, I think that's awesome. Me
Yeah.
personally, I wish I didn't have social media sometimes.
Can be a little distracting, but yes.
uh, what are some things that players can do to stand out at a prospect day or camp? I know we mentioned it, but like, is there certain things that like I think the grit and the hustle factor, would you say, is the big thing?
Absolutely. I go back to this, like, what is so awesome about the sport of lacrosse is that it's not a one size fits all kind of sport. And it's really fun just to see the different types of players across all sorts of disciplines and all levels. So on the field, like whether it's your grit and your hustle, which is obviously something that's really easy to spot and most coaches love, I would imagine. Or stick work, communication, how you clear the ball, if you're a goalie, like, are you making smart decisions? But in addition to that piece, that playing piece, just being a good teammate. And that's something that I know nowadays is being talked a lot, but actually, you know, talking to different people outside of, your true inner circle, or picking up balls or trash, or just, some of the intangibles outside of the lacrosse field can also make you set yourself apart, even in addition to the play that you have on the field.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I have always, being in the media world, I always tend to love the kid who grinds and works the hardest, but I also love the kid who's like an unbelievable teammate, like just, celebrates their teammates' success a lot more than their own. That's a great characteristic. I think that probably what drew me to think so highly of you is your humility. And I was talking funny, your coach, Jenny Levy's daughter, was in our first class. Her name is Kate Levy.
Yeah.
She was in our first class of the Juniors Open. I mean, we started the girls, and I interviewed her after I got to watch her play for a week. I interviewed her and I asked her, I said, what do you think I like most about your game? Like, what do you think the one characteristic I love? And she thought about it for a little bit and she goes, I don't know, my competitiveness. And I went, yeah, you are really competitive, but you have such a strong humility when you play. Like, you could see it. Like, you could see she played the right way. She got her teammates involved. She knew when she had to take it to the rack. And her team back then, we don't do it anymore. We played to a champion, and her team won the championship. And she played every position, like
Yeah.
except for goalie. And and she's like an amazing young lady. And like, to me, that you can show that in your play. Like, I never met her before that. And then when I met her, it was obvious. So I think that's a big factor. And I think that's what makes people fall in love with recruits, is that they're the full package. You know what I mean? Like, it's funny. I was talking to another dad, and he said to me when he was going through the process, and this is something all you parents should listen to very carefully, especially you overzealous parents. Okay. They are not recruiting you, meaning the parent, but they are interviewing you because they're evaluating the dynamic. They don't want to build a relationship with the parent, but they want to know what you're about, because it's going to say a lot about what their kid's going to be about when the kid gets there. So that's why the well-roundedness is so important. Great teammates come out. And it's one dad said to me when he was going through the process that he felt like him and his wife are teachers, that they were getting interviewed. And you are getting interviewed because these coaches, their jobs are on the line. They're building successful programs, and they're only taking, the average class is what, 7 or 8 girls?
Yep.
I mean, think about it. I just did the math. I was talking to another a club director, and they had a stat. There's, I think it's 60,000 girls playing, and less than 1% go play Division I lacrosse. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of kids. So how do you separate yourself from that? You separate yourself from being the full package. That's the reality. I mean, you gotta be everything. You gotta be a good student. You gotta be a good human. You gotta be a great lacrosse player, right? And the parents, you gotta keep your mouth shut. I mean, take it for whatever it's worth. I'm not saying this to hurt people's feelings, but they don't want to talk to mom and dad. They want to talk to Mary and Jane, right? Don't you want to build relationships with your kids, Cook?
Yep.
I
mean, for that next step, it's important just to understand who you're bringing into your program. And obviously it's an extension of the family, right? And wanting to make sure that you have the right fit, is going to help you be far more successful on the field when you do the homework and you do the research of who the person is at their core.
I'm telling you, I used to say this all the time. I've been coaching youth sports now for 48 years. I started when I was 14. I coached my younger brother's Little League baseball teams. And when I coached as a young dad, I used to say, I could tell you from the way the little boy or little girl played if I wanted to hang out with their parents, if I wanted to go have a beer with their mom and dad or a glass of wine. Because the way the young man, the little 8-year-old or little 10-year-old handled themselves and acted is a direct reflection. I tell everybody this: you are made at your dinner table. Who you are is a reflection of mom and dad and grandma and grandpa and everybody else that's in your life helping you. You know, like they say, it takes a village. So like, I could tell you that when I built a relationship with Coach Carr, or I built a relationship with Tom Schreiber, or a relationship with Brian Holman, who are the people that are in my life through the Juniors Open, I can tell you right now, I wanted to meet their wives, their boyfriends, their moms, their dads, because they're all quality people. And I knew that that's what they came from. And that's important, that you have to understand this when you're going through the process. Because I'm telling you, and I'm sure Cookie in her life has wanted to recruit a kid because she loved the kid so much as a human, right?
Yes.
So,
Right on.
you know, you met them because you liked their lacrosse skills, but you fell in love with them and you wanted to recruit them because they were great humans. Teammates, right? I mean, who's your best friends? All your teammates, right?
Yeah. Even however many years since college.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I also talk about this all the time. And I use Kathy Reese as the best example, who's the Maryland coach, who's an absolute gem
Yeah,
of
she's
human
a stud.
being, an
Yeah.
absolute gem. I used to say to parents, see how many weddings the college coach goes to from their alumni. I think Kathy Reese is invited to every wedding of every Maryland player that's ever played under her and played with her. It says a lot about the coach. It really does. It means they built a relationship, because at the end of the day, guys, lacrosse is a game. Yes, everybody wants to win the game, but when the game's over, we're all part of the same sorority and fraternity. So understand that and use that as what this is about. It's about relationships. That's what it's about. So realize you're not competing with the girl next to you, because nobody is your daughter. Nobody. Everybody's their own island. Okay. I don't know anybody like Cookie. I don't know anybody like Brian Holman. I don't know anybody like Tommy Schreiber. They're their own people. So you really have no competition. Okay. That's why you just got to be yourself. And trust me on the process. The process will work for you. And please utilize us, mostly me, for assistance. This webinar isn't the last time we will communicate. Utilize, I'm telling you, it's an open, I'll text right now. Let me see if I can do this. I might screw this up. Hold on. Hold on. Or put my cell phone in this thing. Hold on. I'm not going to screw it up. I'll probably hang up on everybody. I'll send everybody my cell phone. I'm going to send the list of schools that have already answered, who's coming and stuff. I'm also going to send everybody the hotels again, so they know. For those of you who've never been to this complex, it's right in the Princeton area. So it's a beautiful place. The Princeton coach, who's an absolute rock star, is having her prospect day on Monday. Last year it conflicted. But she's decided to have it. We moved it a day. So it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So she can have her prospect day. So for you people that are smart enough to get into Princeton, and you don't mind playing a little more lacrosse, definitely go check out Princeton. It's a beautiful school. My son's going to kill me because he went to Penn, but too bad. Penn's a great place too. It's not too far away, but they're all great schools. Understand that. If there's any more questions, please feel free to email me. And if I can't get the answer, I don't know the answer, I'll get it from Cookie or wherever.
Mhm.
I think we covered most of the things that were in the questions. Cook, do you have anything else that you wanted to touch upon?
I would say, I think webinars like these, and as you're going through different like camps and clinics, a lot of times there's going to be some time set aside for Q&As and different sort of questions, and like don't hesitate to speak up and ask questions that are in your mind, because it's the only way that you're gonna learn the answer. And same goes for on the field. If you want to be the best you can be, like, don't shy away from having the courage to speak up or take a risk. And know that anything in life, or anything worthwhile in life, there's gonna be a point that might be uncomfortable a little bit. And if you can learn how to embrace that, and it turns into productive discomfort, that's truly where you can go the distance and find the potential, or tap into the potential of who you are meant to be as a lacrosse player and as a person.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. People always say, you learn so much more from failure than you do success. And that's the truth. At the end of the day, I could tell you right now, the young lady that was nice enough to come on this webinar does not like to lose, hasn't lost a lot, but at the end of the day, I'm sure she's learned a lot from it. And as she moves forward, she's going to learn more from it. And we all strive for the best. We're watching the NFL football. You see, the Philadelphia Eagles were in the Super Bowl last year and just lost in the opening round. My Giants weren't in it, so I have nothing to talk about, but it just shows that. I know your Ravens is still alive, right?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I'm rooting for the
Talk
Bills.
about that.
I'm rooting for the Bills.
Oh, come on. Uh, love it.
Anyway, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for coming on. One of the last questions about playing time and opportunities on the draw at the event. The coaches will handle that. Everybody will play pretty much equal. Everybody will get opportunities to do draws, so they'll be able to show their abilities. We did ask that question, so we'll split the kids up when we do the teams. We have fun putting the teams together and the colors. People make fun of me because the color names are all weird, but then I'm a little weird.
Mhm.
So at the end of the day, it's about everybody enjoying the experience. I hope everybody got a lot out of this hour webinar. I'm sorry you couldn't see Cookie's beautiful face, but I think it was a positive that you didn't see mine. So every positive, there's a negative.
Oh my God, you're too funny. No, thanks everybody for taking the time. And thanks Wink for putting this on.
You got it. All right, Core. You can hit and we'll say goodbye to everybody. And Cookie, I will speak to you very soon. Good luck with your season.
Sounds good. Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.